Alright, so ICT Silver Bullet Part 2. So yesterday we left off, we pretty much added everything together. We got the buy signals and the sell signals in the right spot. We just need to connect it all together to actually execute on the trades. We need to get our stop loss, which will be behind this pivot low right here. And then we could do like a multiplier of like risk reward, maybe like a 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 or something like that for the profit target. So that's today's plan. We'll add in, so the buying, we'll add in that nice green and red box as well, so it looks pretty on the chart. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just jump right into it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the pivots. We're gonna add them right up here. We'll add some space. So we're gonna get a pivot high and the pivot low for each respectively, and we're gonna use the inbuilt PineScript functions to do this. So first of all, we could do this P high for pivot high. It's a technical analysis tool. Get the pivot high. The amount of bars you want to go left and then right. We'll just do 3. So that's how many bars it's going to look left to check if it is a high. That's how many bars it will have to wait once the high has been made to check that it is in fact a pivot high. So it'll be 3 to the left, 3 to the right, and then we want to do the same for the pivot low. Nice. Now once these gets triggered, we actually want to store these values of whatever that high is and whatever that low is inside a global variable. We want to do that for each. Just like that. We'll store the pivot high in this one here. We'll store the pivot low in that one there. Now we just need to connect these together. So alright, if not NA, so basically if this is triggered, if PH is triggered, there is a pivot high. We're going to set the pivot high value to the high. It's important that we go the high 3 candles ago, because that's how many candles we're going to have to wait to make sure it is the high. And then once this gets triggered, we need to put this back 3 candles ago, just like that. Then we just need to do that for the opposite side, so for the pivot low, if not NA, PL value equals low, pivot low from 3 candles ago. Perfect. So this should track the pivot high and the pivot low. What I might actually do is we could maybe put a label on each one of these, so I can show you guys exactly where these will be on the chart. So do a little debugging. We could do a new label. Again, we'll do this 3 bars back because that's where it actually should be. And that will be the high. That will be the low. We'll save it. There's no labels on the chart, but it's probably because they're all being used at the beginning over here and back in time a little bit. So let's just jump back in time to about here-ish. Perfect. So you can see that the high, so that's the pivot high, this is the low, the label's just on the wrong side, so it should be down here. That's another pivot low, pivot high, pivot low. So that's perfect. So this, when we buy here, it's going to be using this most recent low as its stop loss. If we buy here, that would be using the most recent low as the stop loss here. So they all line up perfectly just like what we want. We can get rid of these labels, we don't need them anymore. That was just demonstration purpose. Cool, so now that we have that done, we're going to create the red and green box on our screen. So we're going to just get that set up first, and then we'll plug that in to when we buy and sell down here. So first we need to do that. We need to create a new user type, a UDT. Just like this. So we're creating like a new user definable type, that is what it's called, a UDT, and we're basically gonna each one is gonna store these values. We want to create 2 of these. One for the buy side. So now that we've basically outlined what it should be, we can actually create one. We're creating a global PnL, because that's what we've called it here. We're gonna name it buy side for this side. And then we just do PnL new, and then sell side, obviously, done. And then we needed the function to actually draw this. So I'm going to copy this in from our previous video. I'll explain it real quick. I've created a function called draw PnL. It's going to take these inputs, which is the entry bar, entry price, TP, exit bar, basically all the spots we need to mark on the chart to mark these boxes. Once with those values, then we just create two boxes, essentially one red for the stop loss and then one green, and we just place them right in the right spot. So this is just the function. We need to call this later to actually like plot stuff on our chart, but this is all nice and ready for then when we'd want to do that later. Cool, so let's plug in some of these values and actually take some positions. So we'll start off with the long position because we can see we've got a nice long here. It should pretty much long here. Put the stop loss here. Maybe do like a 3 to 1 or something like that. So that'd be a good example. Let's go do that. So in here, this is where we check for buys inside our fair value gap. This here is our buy label. So what we need to do is basically in this same section, we do strategy, entry, buy, and that will be a strategy, and we're going to go long. So that's just like that. We're going to enter, and then now we need to track these values, which would be one each of these. So we need to go for the buy side. We go buy side bar equals, that would be the current bar we're on. We got buy side entry price, be the current close, buy side stop loss. That there would be, because we're buying, it's going to be this up here. It's going to be the pivot low value that we were tracking up here. So that would be pivot low value. And then the buy side TP. This is basically going to be whatever the distance is from where we are to our stop loss. We just want to do like a multiplier of that. So that would be close plus, it would be the close minus the distance to the pivot. I'm going to turn this into points, just like that. And if we want to do a multiplier, maybe we could do like a 2 times multiplier. So that would be like a 2 times risk reward. Awesome. So that's going to track all the values. That's going to buy right at the right spot. We've still got our label there. And then we're going to track all these values. Now we're going to be entering a position, but once we've entered, we haven't got any like stop loss or TP or anything like that. We've assigned the value to it, but nothing's going to happen yet. We haven't written up any actual rules for this yet. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to check first if we are inside a buy, which we could do that by doing strategy position size. If the position size is bigger than 0, that means we're currently in a long. You can see that is what there's here. So if we're currently in a buy, we want to then check if the close is, basically if we've hit our TP, if the close is higher than our TP, or if we hit our stop loss, if the close is lower than our stop loss. So we'll do close bigger than buy side TP, or close smaller than buy side stop loss. If any of those are true, we want to close our position. So strategy, close, and we want to close the buy position. It's case sensitive, so we'll make sure these refer to each other. So we're giving this an ID up here when we open the buy position. We're calling that position buy, and then when we close it, we want to make sure we reference the right one. Cool, so that should close it, and then the last thing to do, once we've closed the position, we'll reference this function and actually draw these red and green PnL boxes. So call our function, draw PnL. Buy side, we've got entry bar. Buy side entry price. Buy side TP. Now we've just got the current bar index of whatever we close is the exit bar, and then the exit price will be buy side stop loss. Awesome. So that should buy and enter, and we should hit our TP, hit our stop loss. It should close. Before we save that, let's come down to the bottom of our script. We've still got this moving average crossover stuff written here. Let's just now that we've actually used our used the strategy call and other part of the script, we can remove this and not get an error. Just like that. The last thing we want to do too as well is we only want to check for these buys here only if we aren't currently in a buy. So at the moment we're just going to check this. This will run here inside this function here, and we're calling this function down here, and this is just going to run every bar inside this range. We actually only just want to check if we are not in any positions. If our current position is flat, then we could check to see if we're buying and see if we'll do the sells as well. So while we're down here, we're just going to grab this here, if that, make sure it's in line. Instead of above 0, we just want to make sure it is 0. Perfect. Now if we save this, and take a look. Nice, look at that. So we've got the buy label still there. It buys right perfectly, puts the stop loss right at the bottom. We've got a 2 times multiplier, and that's the TP right up there. And that worked awesomely. Alright, that's pretty much the buy side done. Let's jump in and just finish the sell side real quick. It's going to be just much the same, except just changing some of these values. And that should be the script pretty much coming to an end, this strategy. So we've got these pivots, that's fine, we don't need to do anything with that. We've got these, we've got this, it's fine, we've already created a sell side. Only thing that we need to do is you need to come down inside this section here. And we want to add all this like we've done down here. So the first thing we want to do, strategy, entry, we want to do a sell position. That's going to open our trade. Now we want to track all our details. So sell side, bar equals bar index. Sell side entry price equals the current close. Sell side stop loss, this will equal the pivot high this time. So we've got the pivot high value. And then we want to do the sell side TP. This is going to be much the same like this. Basically just what are the distances between the current close or the current price we're at and the high. We just want to do like a multiplier of that. So we'll do the current close minus, it'll be the pivot high value minus close. And we could do a multiplier as well on this too. So cool, just like that. Nice. We just add a bit more room down here. Now we just need to add this section for down here as well. So let's just copy this, copy it, paste it down here. Now this should only run if we are in a position, so we need to change this to negative, because remember this can be a negative. If the market position is long, it's going to be higher than 0. If the value is lower than 0, the market's short. So we're going to check if we are in a short position. Then we're going to check if we have closed below our TP, because we're going short. Then we want to check for a stop loss if we've closed above our stop loss for the sell side. If that's all true, we want to exit our sell position, and then we want to draw the same box, except this time we want to use all the sell values. Cool, just like that. Let's save that and take a look. Alright, so I just saved it, and I just noticed one little error. In some cases, just like this one here, this sell, if we're going for a 2-to-1 risk reward, so we would sell here, we put our stop loss above this high right up here, and then we look for, we've got a 2 to 1. So we're looking all the way down, like in the 50s down here. Price never actually hits our TP. And price, if you keep looking to the left until where price action currently is, it never actually hits our stop loss either until about here-ish. So what we're gonna do is I just added in, essentially if something like this happens, it goes down, it doesn't hit our top stop loss, doesn't hit our TP. What I'm gonna do is just, if the hour ticks over, so we get to 0 o'clock and we're still in a position, we're just gonna close all our open orders if we have any. So to do that, I've just gone down to the bottom down here, where we've got our hour 11. I'm just added a new hour at hour 0. We're gonna close our strategy sell, close up a strategy buy. That's if we've got any of these open. Cool. And the last thing we need to do as well, we're just gonna come all the way back up to the top and we're gonna change the default, what do you call it? We're going to change the default quantity type. Quantity type, we're going to do strategy, and we're going to change it to percent of equity. Awesome. Now if we save that, you'll get this result too. So that's, I already had this coded in from before. Here's our buy position. We had this coded in and worked before. Cool. So that's pretty much it. It doesn't take any of these trades here because there's no, let me zoom in and take a look. There's no displacement. So nothing gets triggered. Same with this, we sweep below, no displacement. This here happened outside of this 11 AM window and it didn't work anyway. And then you can see our cells actually up here. We have the clean sweep above, displace down. This candle here made a fair value gap. They all pretty much made fair value gaps. This candle here came into a couple of them, and so did that little dot here. So we take a sell. Yeah, stop loss again would have been right up the top here. A 2 to 1, it never actually reached. Like what we could do is we could change this. We could change that to 1, and I'll show you what I mean. Just like that. So it works well on EURUSD, on GU. Something you could do is you could definitely come in here and change, play around with the values. We could change the, the risk-reward ratio. We could change what it considers a displacement. We could change a lot of these things, and of course you'll get different values. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the end of this video. What I'm going to do just to wrap this up is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to make this code nice and pretty. We're going to just like clean it up a bit, maybe add some user inputs for some of these things I just spoke about, like maybe we could change the displacement, maybe add a user input for risk reward ratio, maybe we could change what we consider a pivot. So let's go ahead and add those, and then that's pretty much it. So we could get rid of all that. First thing we want to do is let's do the displacement here. So we want to maybe change the displacement length. It's going to be an integer. At the moment we have it set to 150, this here. Just like that. I'm going to copy this, come down, paste it again. Now we'll add in our multiplier. So we could do dis multi. This is going to be a float because we need a decimal place for this. Default is 2.5. I'll change the title to displacement multi, and that's going to be in the same group. Now let's take these values, displacement length, we come in here, paste it there. Displacement multi, we'll paste that there. Let's tidy this up. Give a nice little divider here. We'll leave this because the hourly, it is supposed to be the hourly 9 a.m. That's like a fixed rule. So I mean, if you wanted to change it, you could go in and maybe add an input or change it here if you like. But for me, I'm going to leave that one. We've got our pivots here. Let's add in pivot length. I'm going to make that an input. It's going to be an integer as well. At the moment, we have it set to 3 for all of them. And this will be in the group pivots. Let's take that. Now we're going to replace all these 3s here with it. If you wanted to go in and change the values between the left and right, you could go in and maybe add another pivot left length, pivot right length, and you could separate these. But I'm just going to make them the same for the moment. You get rid of that. Get rid of this. Let's copy this. Add that there. Pivots. Change this. This is perfect. We'll name this PnL box. Cool. Let's now add in this risk reward ratio. So come right back up to the top. Let's add this in front of everything else actually. Pivots. Displacement. We'll do R. Do risk ratio for the variable, and we're going to make that equal to, it's going to be an integer. We've already got it at, we could do default 2. We've got a split at the moment. We've got a 1 for sell and 2 for buy, but we could do, we'll do default 2. We'll call this risk reward. Risk reward ratio. And we'll group this under risk. We could take that, come down here, we could paste it there. So now that's going to be there instead. Paste that there instead as well. Let's get rid of this. Name these FVG functions, and then we'll name this in range check. Cool, just like that. Let's save that. So that's the most recent day. We can see that there as well. Now if we go to the top here, we go to the settings, and you can see that we've added in all these different settings for users to play around with. So we can change the risk reward, just like that. You know, actually, I think let's make this a float, so we could do 1.5. At the moment, I just made it integer, so that you can't do decimal places. Let's just quickly change that so we can get a bit more custom here. Float instead of integer. Save. Cool. Now we go up here again. Now if we wanted to do something like 1.5, now we can. Awesome. And of course we change all the displacement length. That didn't do anything here, but obviously it'll do stuff later. Oh nice, that 1.5 risk reward got the bottom of this one here. Cool, and just like that, that's pretty much the video wrapped up. I think I'm gonna end it here. If you guys like watching this, let me know. I can maybe keep continuing the series, and we could add in like other things. We could, yeah, if you got any comments, we could add in more checks and more things like that to make it a little better even. But I think this is a good spot to leave it.